Well, good afternoon, everyone, or good early evening. Muy buenas tardes. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being for the official opening of the Latin American Studies Association Continental Congress for Asia Oceania, the first event of this kind that has ever been celebrated in Australian land. And first of all, I wanted to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, but also to the traditional owners of the lands where all our participants who are connected from different parts of the world, everywhere where they sit. And now we can proceed with the official opening. We have different views and perspectives about what the event has been and what the significance of the event is for us. And I can tell you right off the bat, I am incredibly pleased to see a very vibrant crowd hovering around empanadas in the back and coming nonetheless to the front. So without further ado, I want to introduce first of all, Past President Margarita Lopez Maya of the Latin American Studies Association. And Professor Lopez Maya, and as we were commenting, is a social scientist and is one of Venezuela's best known and most influential social scientists. And she has a very long career, and you can look up her long list of books that have sought to explain multiple phenomena across, not only in Venezuela, but also in other parts of Latin America. Margarita joined us all the way from Venezuela to come here. And it is very special for us to have you here, Margarita. So please.
Thank you very much, Raul, for that warm greetings. And good evening to you all. It is with great pleasure and joy that I welcome you to this first Asia-Pacific Continental Congress on behalf of the Latin American Studies Association, LASA. Our gathering these days is a result of a journey that began 2 years ago in 2023, during my presidency of LASA, when the executive committee evaluated the possibility of organizing a continental meeting in this part of the world, perhaps the most geographically distant from Latin America and the Caribbean, but increasingly closer in interest, affinities, and connections. At last year's LASA Annual Congress, held in Bogotá, Colombia, we took advantage of the large attendance to survey our membership, particularly colleagues from our Asia and the Americas section, to find the scholars and researchers interested in joining us on this adventure and helping us find a convenient location in Asia or Oceania to host this exchange, which is now a reality. The sustained effort since then has borne fruit, and here we are, in the beautiful and attractive city of Melbourne, at La Trobe University in Australia. LASA is very pleased to have made this space available to members of our community residing on these continents so that they may enrich, through the interactions they will have here, their academic careers in the pursuit of knowledge about Latin America and the Caribbean. A diverse, complex region undergoing constant change and experiencing turbulent times at the moment. Thanks to the generous willingness of La Trobe University to host us, we are holding a conference in Oceania for the first time. And to this end, an academic team of professional experts was formed, which has been responsible for the drafting of the call for papers, designing the title and the 4 thematic tracks or areas that guide the presentations, panels, and the other activities of this conference. Once the call of papers was closed, the team evaluated the proposals, most of which were submitted individually, and organized a large number of panels, ensuring as far as possible that they were composed of colleagues from related fields of knowledge. It was a great effort, as our call received a surprising number of proposals. As you have seen in the program, we have almost 300 presentations 78 activities in all, including 66 panels, 7 roundtables, 2 plenaries, and other academic activities in the fields of social science and the humanities. We sensed, and we were not mistaken, that there was a thirst for a meeting like this. But even so, we were pleasantly surprised by the receptiveness. Studying Latin America from a distance is undoubtedly a significant challenge. However, affinities such as those of countries, most of which are far from the world's centers of power, come to our aid. We wanted this first conference to have a perspective that would update and compare these 3 continents. Hence its title, Encounters and Connections Between Asia, Oceania, and Latin America, and hence too the titles of its thematic tracks, Asia, Oceania, and Latin America Relations in the Changing World Order, Asia, Oceania, and Latin America Comparative Studies, Intellectual Encounters Between Latin America and Asia, Oceania, and last but not least, Migration, Diaspora, and Transnational Communities. Guided by these themes over the next few days, you will present a range of information, analysis, and reflections. The unstable and fluid world we are witnessing and experiencing today greatly needs the professional and multidisciplinary studies that we contribute as academics. Complexity challenges us. Paradigms are shifting. We are witnessing a profound transformation of the world order, also affecting national and regional developments built in the 20th century. We may be witnessing the dawn of a new era for humanity, which requires, and we must respond to that commitment, our efforts to understand trends and ensure that they lead to a more just, inclusive, and peaceful world. On behalf of LASA, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to La Trobe University for its generosity in providing us with the facilities to make this meeting possible. I am particularly grateful to the School of Humanities and Social Sciences and to Professor Raul Sanchez Uribarri for their dedication to achieving our objectives. Many thanks to the academic team for all their effort and hard work, the hours spent meeting and evaluating the papers and panels. To Professors Raul Sanchez Uribarri, Nobuaki Hamaguchi, Vladimir Novensky, Timothy Power, Manuel Ramon Lacayo, and Paz Millet. Thank you very much. This we did together. A conference of this magnitude would not be possible without the wonderful staff of LASA, their dedication and commitment to the association. Many thanks from the distance to Milagros Pereira Rojas, Mildred Camero, Ana Ruscalleda, and Melissa Raslevich, as well as the technician Lázaro Amanaditis. Let us begin our activities. Let us enjoy these encounters, and may these days mark our academic trajectories from here on. Welcome again. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so much, Profesora López Maya. And next we have Pro Vice Chancellor Global Research, Vicerrector de Investigación Global, Professor Nick Beasley, who is also one of the country's foremost experts in international relations.
Thank you, Raul. And first, I'd like to welcome you all to La Trobe University. And Margarita has said it is now time to begin to enjoy your conference and the empanadas. But before that, you have to hear from me and at least 2 other people. So settle in. I would also, as Raul said, like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we gathered, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people, pay my respects to elders past and present, and extend that respect to any First Nations people joining us today, and also extend that recognition to all of the traditional owners of the lands from people beaming in. How many people are beaming in? And is it genuinely global? I don't want to know what the time zone differences might be, but we'll leave that there. Some of you may be aware that last week the Victorian government signed into law the first treaty in Australia, formally acknowledging in legal terms a relationship between the Indigenous owners and the settler colonial government. We're extremely proud of that here in Victoria. Sometimes referred to as the People's Democratic Republic of Victoria. But it's a real moment, and it's an important one. And it's one of those points where, if you begin to think about the points of commonality between Latin America, Australia, and Oceania, the colonial experience in all of its complexity is something we all share. And that moment in Australia, it's been a long road, to be perfectly honest, and there's a still very steep and rocky path ahead, but it is pleasing to see some progress. Margaret had touched on one thing that I just wanted to say a couple of things about, and that's the distinctive moment that we're in. There is a tendency for people in any particular historical moment to think that they are living through a period of unique challenge, and that never before has the world seen anything quite unlike the challenges we face. And there's a famous figure in Australian foreign policy, Alan Gyngell, who sadly passed away recently, who was the first director of the Lowy Institute for International Policy. And at one of the very first conferences they held, which I had the good fortune to be at, he dusted off a handbook that he was given when he started in what was then called the Department of External Affairs. So this was about 1965, 66, something around that period. And of course, what was the first sentence in it? Never before has Australia faced a challenging period in its history. And you could say that and I guarantee you could find something like that in just about every decade, if not every year. But I think it is not unreasonable to say that the period we are in is really unlike anything we've seen for decades. Whether it's the transformation of the global balance of power, the historic return of power to Asia, whether it's the remarkable, truly astonishing inward turn in the United States and the self-destruction of many core aspects of that country's power and global goodwill, whether it's the technological challenges of AI, the transformation of military power and balances, the real fragmentation of the kind of core systems that have managed the international system since 1945. It is a pretty difficult period that we look forward to. I'm someone who looks at military matters in our region, and I'm not a quantitative social scientist, but the chances of a nuclear war have never been greater, at least in the post-Cold War period. And on balance, the prospects are going up. It's not about to happen, to be really clear. We're not on the precipice, but each year we are certainly moving up the probability ladder. And this is a pretty disconcerting period. And so it's in these moments of real human transformation and turmoil and challenge that gatherings like this are enormously important, and bringing together the perspectives of people on either side of the Pacific. And it's interesting to reflect that in Australia, at any rate, about 20, 25 years ago, we thought of the region in which we lived and described it as the Asia Pacific. And we had very much a sense that we were sitting on one side of the Pacific, and what we shared with the people on all sides of the Pacific littoral was really what bound us together. And that saw its articulation in groupings like APEC, which had a real genuinely trans-Pacific membership. Now we're beginning to realize that as we turned away from the Latin American and really the Western Pacific, all of the Eastern Pacific components, that might in fact have been a mistake. And we're beginning to recognize once again the webs of connectivity, not just between ourselves and Asia, but between ourselves and the peoples of the Americas continents. Yeah, sorry, too many plurals in there. My apologies. And Raoul first came to me say, do you think we could host LASA? My first question was, are you sure? But the enthusiasm of the registration, the list of papers, the diversity and intellectual dynamism that's there really attests to that sense that there's some intellectual ferment there that's responding not just to conventional academic interests in things, but a sense of transformation and a sense of necessity in this study. So I'm really pleased to welcome you here to be part of the talking heads that start conferences, which seems to be a constitutional requirement of these events. I wish you all the very best for your few days of studies through till Friday, right?
Yeah, right.
Good. I hope your stamina is set to high, and hopefully the hay fever that the plane trees of Collins Street produce is kept in check, because they can be fairly lethal. All the very best, and thanks again for coming to the Trobe.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nick. And I have to say, well, this is our city campus, our larger campus. The main campus is in Bandura, and we have four trees that produce probably more pollen than all the trees that are in this road in the park. You can see them from space, perhaps. And now our next words come from the Director of Global Engagement from Global Victoria, la Directora de Relaciones Internacionales de Global Victoria, Emma Lawrence. Emma, thank you so much for being here.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's my absolute pleasure to be here. As Raoul mentioned, Director of Global Engagement at Global Victoria, which is the Victorian Government's trade facilitation agency. I feel honoured to be part of this lineup. Seems as though there's been a lot of deep thought put into the preparation, so congratulations to everyone, and absolutely to a leading educational institution here in Victoria, La Trobe University. It's great to hear about what's been planned. I wanted to share a little bit of insight about how the Victorian Government is committed to driving connections with Latin America. The trade facilitation of the agency is, of course, focused on business. So I wanted to offer some insights in that regard. But at the end of the day, business happens between people. It happens based on understanding, and it happens based on people that are champions and stay committed to the relationship. So fortunately for me, that's where I get to spend a lot of my time opening up those doors and building those relationships where the trade and investment and education links can follow. In terms of Latin America, we have an office in Santiago in Chile. That's one of 23 offices that the Victorian Government has internationally. It's a really strong network where we stay committed, and we build networks in market that connect Victorian companies internationally. The office opened in 2016, and as you would expect in a Latin America context, there is no more passionate or talented team in the network. I can say that here. I know I'm being recorded, but it's true. And we've also played a really strong role in ensuring there's the direct links in terms of connectivity. So the flight with LATAM, that's something the Victorian Government really backs. And of course, we're looking forward to those becoming daily, and excited about opportunities in the future with other markets, because that's one entry point, but we could make it a little bit easier. So we'll see what the future holds. Of course, the relationship has been founded in the past on METs, the mining sector, but Victorian Government, or Victoria, is the only state that holds a public-facing Latin America trade and investment strategy. And we do that because we wanted to articulate that we need to do a lot more, and we need to diversify what that relationship looks like. And we set out the priority markets to do that. So we're delivering on that now. We know there are several other states and territories that are jealous of us in that we're out there, we're saying it, and we're actually doing it, backing in what we do. Just recently, we welcomed delegations from Latin America for the World Chambers Congress, for the World Indigenous Business Forum. They were the most prominent in terms of coming to share, to learn, and to connect with others. And just this week, we are welcoming delegations for the Comprehensive Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership, the CPTPP, with key representatives coming in from Chile, from Mexico, and Peru. And again, we leverage those opportunities to make sure that we can better connect for future opportunities. In terms of the actual bilateral relationship at the moment, it's valued at 3.7 billion two-way. So that's really solid, but we're looking to keep building on that by working with different partners, the Consular Corps, great to see some ambassadors that we work with here today, bilateral chambers of commerce, so that they can educate companies about different opportunities to keep building on on opportunities that would allow them to diversify. I think what we've we're trying to share with companies here in Victoria is that recent years have certainly shown that you can't put your eggs in one basket, that you need to diversify, you need to think in the long term. I think the current environment, the volatility of that shows that it's important to diversify your efforts. Of course, it would be remiss of me not to speak about the strong investment that's come from Latin America and that's brought innovation that we didn't have here previously. And that then has helped those companies from Latin America to branch out into the Asia Pacific. There's a whole range of them, Duratrade, JBS, Minerva Foods, Groomer. Duratrade has won the Governor of the Year Exporter Award. So celebrated because they are amazing success stories. And then the education relationship, I think you feel it, you hear it on the streets, the impact of the students that are here. They make a significant difference at the educational institutions in Victoria, of course. 27,000 students from Latin America are currently studying in Victoria. A lot of them are Colombian. And they really value those opportunities, and we value those, and we tell the institutions, I'm sure the messages get back, that it's really important to value their contribution to the conversations, the energy on the campuses. And we also, of course, want to encourage Australian students, Victorian students, to go to Latin America and learn also. The other thing I wanted to share is that we've also had a focus in the Latin America space around Global Victoria Women. This is where we're trying to increase the participation of women in international business and the diversity of those women. In April, we welcomed over 60 C-suite women from Sao Paulo, and we put them in a room with 60 trailblazing women in Victoria. The energy was quite remarkable. I don't think the Brazilian women wasted a minute in putting out their hand. Who are you? Why are you here? And let's connect. It was electric, to say the least. But I guess that's what we do. We don't miss the opportunity to connect and share and bring people together that maybe otherwise would not have crossed paths, but they've taken something away from those experiences. We've also had roundtables of women that are leading business with Latin America, and then brought in the Latin American students to connect again with professionals that they may not have otherwise come in contact with. So being really creative about the different ways that we connect. To end, I just wanted to share, I'm also Latin American. My mother is Chilean, my dad is Australian. And for me, I'm so proudly a champion within the Victorian government for the relationship. I'm known as one of the people to go to if something Latin America is related, then I'm going to be there, passionate about it and trying to drive the relationship. So I feel really fortunate that I can do that here in Melbourne, and that there's so many others that share the passion to keep pushing the relationship forward. So congratulations again to everyone who's made this forum possible. Seems so it's an excellent start. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Emma. And last but not least, my colleague Vladimir Rubinsky for a few words. Vladimir comes all the way from Colombia and is also the chair of the Asia and Americas section at the Latin American Studies Association, co-conspirator of a number of initiatives here too.
Thank you very much, Raul, for this introduction. And I don't want to talk a lot because I don't want to be the last person standing between the reception and the formal speeches. Yeah, but when Nick was mentioning about the challenging moment we live through now, and that maybe it is not the first time when we lived through something similar. I remember another congress that I organized at my university back in Colombia, and my dean recalled a special issue of the journal we did, International Relations in Crisis, and it was 10 years ago. So he asked me, if that was the crisis, how shall we call what is happening now? So, and yes, this is one of the reasons I think we have this successful Congress here, because I think there is a demand for constructing knowledge that allows us to navigate through these turbulent waters that we are now facing all these challenges. And I just want to mention two particular dimension of the work that we did preparing this Congress. One is that we discovered a great diversity of the topics that actually unite us in this area of study between Asia, Oceania, and Latin America. That was a very good surprise because some of the topics that appeared in the in the submissions were quite unexpected, and we were having good and hard time at the same time trying to construct those panels. And I hope we did a good job because we see this turn out to this Congress. And last but not least, this informality that Raul was mentioning on the other event we had here in La Trobe. But I think these personal connections, these networks that are building through those congresses, they're so much important for us because those are friendships that will last many, many years. Once again, congratulations. Thank you very much for La Trobe hosting us here. And thank you very much, LASA, for having this Congress. Thank you.
Thank you. Así que ha concluido esta parte del evento. This part of the event has concluded now. But as you can see, now we go to the other side, and the other side, empanadas and food awaits. But also, we have some music coming. So now let's just stand up and go that way. And thank you so much once again for joining us today.